On today's NetCheck here on BON News, the Copenhagen Controversy continues, and China's ever-vocal internet users have hit back at criticism from overseas. As we've reported here on BON, many in the West are pointing the finger squarely at China for the lack of a substantial deal. Earlier this week, British Prime Minister Gordon Brown accused China of hijacking the Copenhagen Climate Summit. Meanwhile, UK Energy Secretary Ed Miliband singled out China as having vetoed agreements on emissions. Miliband said China vetoed plans for 50% reductions in global emissions by 2050 and on 80% reductions by developed countries, despite the support of a coalition of developed countries and the vast majority of developing countries.
Now, on Wednesday, there was another barrage of criticism, this time from British author and conference delegate Mark Lynas. Writing in The Guardian newspaper, he accused China of gutting the deal behind closed doors, snubbing US President Barack Obama, and says China shot down the target of 80% cuts for industrialized nations by 2050. But the Copenhagen Accord has been lauded by Beijing and much of the Chinese press. Let's cross now to Kevin Jia, who's been scouring the websites here for all the reaction to this issue. So tell us, Kevin, how exactly are Chinese internet users reacting to this?
Well, most net users are angry about the criticism. Some are saying that because the Copenhagen conference didn't reach a substantial agreement, UK officials are shifting the blame onto developing countries like China. And they say that the 80% figure is ridiculous, that the UK would never be able to make such drastic cuts in such a short space of time. Others say that Western countries were trying to hijack the conference from the very beginning but failed. The conference didn't go their way, so now they're complaining. But some people disagree and say that the Chinese government's lack of transparency was a big problem. They say that this lack of transparency means China lost the trust of other nations.
So, Kevin, what are internet users saying about who should take responsibility for what happened at Copenhagen?
Many people say that most pollution in the world was caused by developed countries, so they should take more responsibility. They say the failure of this conference is the result of Western countries ignoring their historical responsibility and their per capita emissions. But other people say China should be held responsible for the failure because it didn't allow Western countries to supervise its emission levels. Others say the most important thing now is to protect the environment. They say we should stop talking about history and look forward. Every country should be responsible and take action.
Thanks, Kevin. Now, Sylvia, as we've said here on BON News, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Jiang Yu didn't directly address the criticisms, but she did say the attack was made in order to shirk the obligations of developed countries and promote discord among developing countries.
Right. She also insisted the conference had yielded fruit, reached broad consensus, and won support from developing nations.
That's right. Well, do stay with us. BON News continues in just a moment.